where you're going to be in a year? Maybe a month? How about next week? Well, as far as the governor is concerned, I'll be at home next week, but that's another story. Well, what would you say if you ask the mountains? Would they have a reply? Where will you be, mountains, in a year, or 10 years, or a millennia? How about the sand on the banks of the Bitterroot River? Does your neighbor know any better than you? Any better than their dog, in fact? Oh, future. It's ever elusive and yet ever coming. It's that thing, culturally speaking, that is linear, that goes before us and goes forward. It's as soon as, well, now, and yet as far away as ever. And yet it's then, when we've chosen our way presently, perhaps even stumbled or been pushed into the current realities, that we're reminded that the future offers second chances. Such a journey is rarely as quick as tapping the undo button on our computer. And so we journey. We take a road, one that Jesus walked toward and with second chances. The journey can start with hope and disaster all at the same time. And so we walk through its results, the grief, the suffering, the wilderness, the redirection, the unknowing, toward a second chance of hope, life, meaning, trust, and connection. The story from John's Gospel about the death and resurrection of Lazarus takes this journey as Jesus abides through it all. Jesus doesn't just observe grief, looking on as people wept, thinking, I wonder if they went through the anger stage or the denial stage. Jesus doesn't just look at his watch to make sure some trick is about to go off according to a mastermind plan. Jesus doesn't accuse anyone of wrong or inappropriate response. Jesus comes, he hears, hugs, reveals, weeps, goes, and raises. At this point in the Lenten season, in this point in the coronavirus pandemic, and even in all the fullness I can hold of God, I am grateful for these utterly human responses with utterly divine meaning. Yes, Jesus is the resurrection and life. It's a foreshadowing in part, but it's present orienting at its best. Second chances and the wholeness of our body, mind, and spirit can be now, can be known presently. This love, this grace, this redo are for you as it is for me, for all of us now. And it is the work of God alone and not some human initiative. Even as God is working, Jesus is abiding with us on a journey in ever tangible ways. Take a moment. Breathe that in. Pause the video if you want. This is good news. Let's pray. Holy God, we do encounter you in the very real, utterly human realities, including tears. And we ask that we understand more fully today than ever what second chances are all about, how you are inviting them, how you are inviting us to live into them, and how you are inviting us to journey toward them. We pray that all the ways that we connect to you, even in this online way, might be a way to your heart. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our minds and souls bring you delight. Amen. Our gospel story this morning talks about the story of Jesus meeting Lazarus, but most of it is about Jesus connecting with Lazarus's sisters. See, these are sisters, these are friends that he has had, dearest ones, and when they send him a message that their brother is ill, they said, "One that you love is ill." They have great hope, Mary and Martha. They have great hope that Jesus will come. And so they send him a message. And even after 2 days of his absence, 2 days of no response, they still have hope. Martha says to him, "If you were here, Lord, he would not have died. But I know that whatever you ask for, God will hear." There is hope. There's a hope that they hold that comes from looking back. They've heard the prophets. They've read the Psalms. They know that the one will come who heals the sick and sets captives free. They've lived their tradition, knowing that this is the long game that they're living. They're living their current reality in a much grander scope of time and place and people and purpose. That's a tradition that Jewish people have had for millennia, and that as people from that tradition, as Christians, we can claim too. We're looking at the long view. And there is a hope in this truth that God works for good. Still, Lazarus has died, and his death shifted everyone's reality. It shifted them into loss. I believe this loss is very real for us even today. We experience it through grief, the ways that we're feeling extra tired, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling, we're weeping, we're crying for no particular reason. It is because we are living in a reality that has shifted everything. There are stages of grief that we may know, the stage of denial and anger, bargaining, sadness, acceptance, and meaning. And what's interesting about grief is that these stages don't go linearly. They happen and then they go back and they go forward and you jump a stage, but they're all part of it. As we live in these days and we live this gospel story, I would invite us not to skip this, not to skip this grief, this recognition of loss, but to name it. Name it for yourself. Where have you lost? Where have you felt loss? If you want to pause the video and start writing your own list, I would highly encourage that. Because in naming it, you can claim it. Part of grief is acceptance and finding meaning. Maybe you have lost your job. Perhaps you've lost coworkers who have lost their jobs. Maybe you wanted to go on a spring break vacation and now you can't. Maybe just being home is the loss of independence and movement and mobility. Have you lost connection with someone? Have you lost a sense of purpose? Have you lost a sense of control, of power, a sense of it's going to be okay? It's okay to name what you've lost. Just as the sisters did, we have lost our brother. He is no longer here. When we feel, we come to the present moment, and that is a great gift to hold in the midst of grief, to allow ourselves to claim the present, so that even when we feel anticipatory grief, this idea of, well, what's going to happen next, we can find rest, maybe even a stopping of that anticipatory grief by looking around and claiming what is true before us. Oh, my water is in front of us. I feel this chair beneath me. The room is cold and yet the light shines through the window. I had no idea that would happen, and yet here I am in the present. This grief is real, and Jesus experienced it too. The shortest verse in the whole Bible says Jesus wept. Loss can feel like a desert of sorts. God calls us to the wilderness over and over again. It can be the wilderness of loss. It can be the wilderness of uncertainty. The Bible study that we are utilizing, the wind, the fountain, and the fire, talks about how the Psalms are reminding us that God went with the Hebrew people in the desert with Moses to build relationships with God and with each other. But the Hebrew people did not really embrace this idea. In fact, they became hostile to it. They built idols because God just didn't feel like enough. But the prophet Hosea mentions that God didn't give up with just one desert trip. In fact, he invites his people to go back to the desert for a second chance. This is the second chance that Jesus embodies, but that we can embody too. Let me read from our book. It says, in the second chapter of Hosea, a prophetic work from the 8th century BC, we discover a series of oracles that promise Israel a second chance, a return to the desert lands of her youth as a nation, in place of the infidelity and idolatry Israel was continued to practice. Now in the fertile land of Canaan, rather than in the wilderness, God will call her back to the desert. Here God will offer his unfaithful spouse, Israel, a second opportunity to undergo the wilderness experience, and this time to remain in right relationship with her God. A renewed desert journey is portrayed in this verse. Therefore, I will now persuade her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. There she shall respond as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Egypt. When has the desert been a second chance for you? What lessons have you learned there? What are you learning even now in the desert? God wants to reconnect, to find relationship, not transaction. And in the desert, we build up compassion for fellow travelers, fellow desert dwellers, and our very selves for this lifelong journey of relationship. Now, compassion that we build up includes the ability to let people be where they are. Not everyone will be excited about Desert 2.0. But as God's people, second chance people, we can be beacons of hope, meaning in grief and loss, and taking God seriously as one who abides, not punishes. Loss can also be about reorienting our expectations. We hear twice, both from Martha and from Mary, they say to Jesus, if you were here, he would not have died. My control is gone, my certainty is shattered, they say. Even the onlookers look at Jesus and think, why couldn't he keep this man that he loved from dying? Richard Rohr offers an idea that feels so important, and that is to claim a liturgy of unknowing. Now, liturgy is a fancy word of just a practice, a ritual, a way of claiming with intentionality these words. I don't know. I am uncertain. Certitude is a false god that we can chase without ever catching it. So claim unknowing. Let go of what you can't control. Let go of being right or better. Let go of the expectation in order to feel, to grieve, to acknowledge reality, and to take steps with integrity, grace, and humility. Jesus wept. And then he asked, where have you laid him? I don't know. And he went to the tomb. And it's at the tomb that we see second chances brought forth, literally and figuratively. There's a new hope that has come out when Jesus calls Lazarus forth. His sisters and all of the community recognize that hope has not been shattered, but has been raised. Rebecca Solnit says that hope is a sense of uncertainty, of coming to terms with the fact that we don't know what will happen, and maybe there's room for us to intervene. The people didn't know that Jesus would raise Lazarus, nor did they know what would happen after they unbound the man or what would happen the next day. But there was hope renewed. The second chance also comes in meaning of grief. Even as we grieve in this time for ourselves, for our communities, for the world in its depth of sadness and tragedy, we also are finding meaning. We're finding ways of connecting with one another. We're finding ways in utilizing technology in a new way. We're learning about ourselves, and we're learning the value of being vulnerable. A second chance comes with life, where God is working for good. Second chances come in restored trust, where hope restored is not certainty or control, but trust that I don't need to know. Trust in relationship. Second chances come with humility, when we can play Play-Doh, or make believe, or sing a song, or make up a story just because. We can play with the balls outside, we can plant seeds, we can tend to the world around us and to each other. And there's a humility that is so good and rich and renewing with second chances. And finally, in second chances, we are connected to that unbounded love and reconnected to relationship that God has called over and over. I'd like to close by sharing a poem from Rumi. This is a Sufi mystic, and he talked of a man who spent his nights calling out God's name until his lips grew sweet with praise. Then one night a cynic asked the man if he had ever heard anything back. Since he had no answer to that, the man stopped praying and drifted into muddled sleep. The guide of souls came to him in a dream and asked him why he stopped praying. "Because I never heard back," the man said. "This longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you toward union. Your pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is connection. There are love dogs no one knows the name of. Give your life to one of them." My dear friends, as you whine, as you call out thanksgiving, as you have all that you can have be sighs or tears or hope or a walk, allow that to be enough as you connect with your God and find a second chance in this journey with Jesus. Amen.